Hello, I'm Tim. I was 10 years old when I bought my first McDonald's hamburger for 15 cents. I've spent a lifetime watching what's happened since. Today, we're breaking down exactly how fast food went from cheap to luxury and who's profiting. Let's dive in.
You're in a fast food drive-thru, looking at the menu board, and something feels wrong. A fast food meal costs $12, maybe more if you're unlucky. You're doing math in your head, wondering if you can justify spending more than an hour of your wages on a burger, fries, and a Coke. Your parents didn't do this math. Fast food wasn't something they budgeted for. It was just cheap, reliably, consistently cheap. So what happened? Remember when fast food meant cheap? This isn't about inflation. It's not about your spending habits. This is about a deliberate transformation of an entire industry. Fast food used to be a shortcut. Now it's a toll booth. And today, we're going to break down exactly how that happened. Let's go back to the beginning. Fast food wasn't invented to be gourmet. It was invented to be fast, consistent, and cheap. In 1955, Ray Kroc opened the first McDonald's franchise in Des Plaines, Illinois. A hamburger cost 15 cents. A cheeseburger was 19 cents. Fries were 10 cents. You could feed yourself for under 50 cents, about $5.50 in today's money. But here's the thing, it wasn't just cheap in raw dollar terms. It was cheap relative to wages. In 1970, minimum wage was $1.60 an hour. A Big Mac cost 65 cents. That means 1 hour of minimum wage work bought you nearly 2.5 Big Macs. Today, federal minimum wage is $7.25. A Big Mac costs around $5.79 on average. 1 hour of minimum wage work buys you barely 1 Big Mac. The promise of fast food was simple. Working-class families could afford to eat out. It wasn't fancy, but it was accessible. A parent working a shift job could swing through the drive-thru on the way home and feed the kids without breaking the bank. That was the social contract. Fast food companies got rich by serving volume, millions of cheap meals to millions of working people. And for decades, that model held. So when did things change? The shift started quietly in the 2000s with something the industry began calling premiumization. Fast food chains realized they could make more money per customer by moving upmarket. They introduced premium menu items, Angus burgers, chicken wraps, smoothies, salads. They remodeled stores with flat-screen TVs and Wi-Fi. They started calling it fast casual instead of fast food. But here's the catch. They raised prices without raising quality proportionally. A McDonald's Angus burger cost $4.50 in 2009. It wasn't actually better beef. It was just a bigger patty with fancier marketing. But customers paid for it, so the industry doubled down. And behind the scenes, something else was happening. Consolidation. A handful of corporations started owning more and more brands. Restaurant Brands International owns Burger King, Popeyes, and Tim Hortons. Yum Brands owns Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. Less competition, more control over pricing. And wages still stagnant. The federal minimum wage stayed at $7.25 from 2009 to today, 15 years without an increase. So prices were creeping up, wages were flat, and fast food was slowly losing its identity as the affordable option. But it wasn't until the pandemic that everything broke. 2020 hit, and the fast food industry saw an opportunity. During the pandemic, prices spiked across the board. Supply chain issues, labor shortages, inflation, all real factors. But here's what didn't happen. Prices didn't come back down when those pressures eased. Fast food chains raised prices dramatically. Chipotle, 6 increases between 2021 and 2023. McDonald's, 21% between 2019 and 2024. Wendy's, Taco Bell, all the same story. They blamed labor costs. They blamed supply chains. Meanwhile, earnings reports showed record profits. The parent companies made billions in profit. Restaurant Brands International, $1.8 billion. Yum Brands, $1.5 billion. McDonald's, $7.5 billion, all while worker wages stayed flat. This wasn't survival pricing, it was strategic pricing. Companies raised prices during the pandemic, blamed inflation and labor costs, then kept those prices when costs stabilized. And that's when fast food stopped being fast food. A Chipotle burrito costs $11 to $12. A typical combo meal costs $9 to $12 depending on where you live. Even Taco Bell, formerly the king of cheap food, now charges $10 to $12 for a basic combo. You're paying sit-down restaurant prices for food handed to you in a bag. If this is starting to sound familiar, you're not alone. Millions of people are realizing the same thing. Fast food isn't what it used to be. Let's pause here. Imagine telling someone in 1980 that a fast food meal would cost over $10. They'd think you were talking about a steakhouse. Let's break down the numbers because this is where it gets undeniable. 1970, minimum wage was $1.60 per hour. A Big Mac cost 65 cents. Hours of work to buy a Big Mac, 24 minutes. 2024, minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. A Big Mac costs $5.79 on average. Hours of work to buy a Big Mac, 48 minutes. You're working twice as long for the same burger. But it's worse than that, because most people aren't just buying a burger. They're buying a meal. 1985, minimum wage was $3.35 per hour. A Big Mac meal cost $2.59. Hours of work for a meal, 46 minutes. 2024, minimum wage is $7.25 per hour. A Big Mac meal costs $10 to $11 on average. Hours of work for a meal, 84 to 90 minutes. You're working nearly twice as long for a fast food meal. Your parents worked less than an hour. And this isn't even accounting for the fact that the meal has gotten smaller. Fries are smaller. Drinks have more ice. Burgers are thinner. You're paying more for less. So where is all this money going? You'd think it's going to the workers, right? After all, the big excuse for price increases is labor costs. But fast food workers still make minimum wage in most states. The average McDonald's employee makes $12 to $13 an hour. Taco Bell workers make $11 to $12. These wages have barely moved in a decade. Franchise owners will tell you they're getting squeezed too. And in some cases, that's true. Corporate, the publicly traded parent companies, takes a cut of every sale. Royalties, advertising fees, supply chain markups. A McDonald's franchisee pays 4% of gross sales in royalties, plus another 4% for advertising. If your location does $2 million in sales, you're paying $160,000 just to hang the golden arches above your door, before you even pay rent or wages. So if workers aren't getting the money, and franchise owners are barely scraping by, where's it going? Corporate parent companies increased both franchise fees and menu prices simultaneously. Workers' wages stayed flat, franchisees' margins compressed, and corporate profits grew. Restaurant Brands International made $1.8 billion in 2021. That's profit after all expenses. Yum Brands made $1.5 billion. McDonald's made $7.5 billion. Workers stay poor, franchisees barely survive, and executives collect record bonuses. So what happens next? Honestly, fast food as we knew it is dying. A value proposition is gone. You can't call it fast food when it costs as much as a sit-down restaurant. You can't call it convenient when you're sitting in a drive-through line for 20 minutes. Some chains are trying to pivot. McDonald's brought back limited-time value meals. Wendy's tested surge pricing and immediately got roasted online. Taco Bell keeps trying to rebrand as affordable while charging $10 for a burrito. The fundamental problem: fast food companies locked in higher profit margins during the pandemic. Shareholders expect those margins to continue, making price cuts unlikely. So either prices stay high and customers stop coming, or prices drop and shareholders revolt. My guess? Fast food splits into two tiers: premium fast casual for people who can afford $15 to $20 meals, and dollar store quality options for everyone else. The middle, the place where fast food used to live, disappears entirely. And working class families, the ones Ray Kroc built his empire on, they'll be priced out completely. Fast food used to be a ladder. Now it's a velvet rope. Your parents could swing through any fast food place on a weeknight and feed the family for $20. You're spending $40 to $50 for the same thing and wondering if you should have just made pasta at home. You're still in the drive-thru, but now it's your wallet that's stuck in traffic. That's not a personal failing. That's not poor budgeting. That's a systemic shift in how fast food companies operate. They stopped prioritizing affordability and started prioritizing profit margins. Same customers, different business model. And until we recognize that this isn't about inflation or labor costs, that it's about maximizing returns for shareholders, nothing changes. Fast food went from cheap to luxury, and whether you call yourself working class or middle class, you're paying the price. Thanks for watching. If this resonated, check the description for more breakdowns on how the economy shifted while wages stayed flat. And let me know in the comments, when did you realize fast food wasn't affordable anymore?